Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Long Rest. I'm Logan.
And I'm Brandon.
And today, we're going to be doing a part 2 video.
Part 2.
Our first part 2. Previous part 1 was all about homebrew rules. And, spoiler alert, that's what this one's about too.
That is how part 2 works.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah. Well, today we're going to kick it off with a really fun one.
Yeah.
Resurrection rules.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely, this is something we use.
Yep.
And this is something that we stole from the great Matthew Mercer. I actually think for pretty much verbatim, I don't even think we've changed anything on it.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah. Why ruin what already works wonderfully?
Yeah.
In our opinion, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, I guess, detail it out for us.
Yeah,
The resurrection rules.
There is a set DC. Every player, every PC has a set standard DC before, right? So you start at 10. Say Logan's character dies, and we are going to attempt a resurrection. To 3 PCs. Hopefully you have that many around your table. If not, you kind of have to fudge the rules a little bit. Maybe you have to change it. But 3 PCs make an attempt to try to either lower the DC. Ultimately, this is behind the screen, but lower the DC or increase the DC. So by bringing something to the table, appealing to Logan's faith, right? Like, so I make a religion check appealing to his faith. I role play something into the fashion, and if I can beat the DC set by the DM, then I get, I think it's a -2 to that 10. So now the DC is only an 8 on that final roll. And then flip side, if I fail, then it's a +2, so the DC gets higher.
Yep.
So after the 3 potential offerings, if you will, by other fellow PCs, there's one roll. Either the DM can roll it, or you can do a behind the screen roll by the character, that's probably like peak right there.
Yeah.
Because now if
Put it in their hands.
yeah, and if they beat it, then they're back.
Yep.
Now, the caveat to that is every time you come back, your DC now increases naturally. So in that attempt to like, okay, you beat the brink of death once before, to beat it again is harder. Definitely makes it more gritty.
Yeah.
It definitely adds a whole new element and potential for your PC to like be able to come back, but loses that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing about this rule is that the resurrection spell and all resurrection spells cost something.
Very true.
500 gold piece diamond, 300 gold piece, whatever it is for revivify, true resurrection, everything else. They have a cost. So you have to have that component just to be able to cast that spell.
Yes.
That's my only gripe with the spell, or with this rule, truthfully, is that at the end of the day, your characters can waste that resource and then nothing can come of it. Which does feel bad, truth be told.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is a very good story element that's so hard to remove, to me. Like, that's what makes it worth it in the end. So I wouldn't say this is a perfect homebrew rule, because, I mean, rules is written just as they spend the money, they get the guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with putting this in the B tier. And that is one of the big factors is if gold is a very strict component in your campaign and you spent a large portion of it to try to bring people back. I do honestly think there are some caveats that you could make to this, to the higher spell levels that, like True Resurrection, like there's definitely a strong argument to say, well, outside of the role play, this guy's coming back regardless. You just dropped, what is that, a 7th level spell, I think? Or it's up there, 6th maybe?
Ooh, yeah.
Like, you just dropped a very high level spell here.
Yeah.
You would understand the ways of life in this moment.
Yeah.
You should be able to bring it back.
I really like it more for Revivify than the other ones, because Revivify, it's readily available to a lot of classes. I think Artificers get it, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah, I think. Pretty sure. Clerics, obviously.
Druids get it.
I think Paladins might even too. I don't know.
I'm sure there could be a subclass for sure that walks life that.
The spell list of people that have access to the spell is probably higher than the other resurrection spells.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's lower level. It's 3rd level, so you're going to get multiples of those spells. So utilizing that's not going to be you know, oh man, I spent my 1, 6, 7th level slot, whatever it is, right? You spent that one slot, and now it's done for the next 24 hours, long rest, whatever it be. So I would definitely say this is probably a B tier category, because not perfect, but we both agree it adds a lot to the story because you're forcing those characters, or forcing the players, not even the characters, you're forcing the players to be those characters and fight for that person at the table.
Yeah.
It makes great moments.
It does.
Truthfully.
And, yeah.
And when it fails, oh boy, that makes the moments even harder because that means those characters tried so hard, or maybe they didn't try hard enough. I don't know. But truthfully, like the characters tried and put more effort than just, I'm going to cast a spell on him.
Yeah.
It became a personal moment around the table that they all shared in.
Yeah.
So definitely B tier, but I'd always err maybe a little higher just because of the story element itself. It makes great.
You could make a quick change to that, which would be, okay, if we're going to play this rule, maybe we change the gold aspect.
Yeah.
You know, to something different.
True. Yeah.
You know, to where you don't feel like you're punished. You know.
Yeah.
But just potentially something that could make it feel a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, we're homebrewing here, so
Yeah.
whatever
Get to homebrewing.
makes the rule fit your table the best.
Yeah.
Is easily. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else you got?
You mentioned the word punish, and I think that's a perfect segue into the next one of getting punished for your natural one rolls. Obviously, we all know that natural 20s are a critical hit. Rules as written doesn't even say it's an automatic success because they're set DCs, right? You could have maybe the DC is a 20 and you rolled a natural 20, but you have a negative modifier. Should you get it? Man, that's a hard call. It was a natural 20. Most people would be like, that's an automatic success. But again, rules as written says, man, you didn't succeed. You didn't beat that DC.
I'm pretty strict on that.
Yeah.
Like, if something's meant to be tough, okay, this is where I will say the one rule of cool moment for me. If it's a cinematic moment and the role play's been very good and it's been a great flow in the motion, like everything's kind of accumulating into like one fact, and you roll a natural 20, and there's no way you could really get any higher. Yeah. You know, those are the moments. Yeah, as a DM, you have to use your discretion.
True.
You know.
Yeah.
But
plus,
generally,
I would say on the flip side of that is if you as the DM set a DC that they can't meet, period, sometimes that does say like, hey, this is just out of the realm of your possibility today as that character, maybe come back to it. But also at the same time, it's kind of just like a hurdle that maybe doesn't need to be there.
Well, that's a very good point too. There's always a strong argument for why are you making players roll when they can't potentially succeed.
That's very true. Yeah,
that is. So, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
That is setting your player up for failure. Why even tease the idea of like, oh yeah, you could win this house off this bet, but you're never going to succeed the 40 DC, something ridiculous, you know. But yeah.
We're talking about natural 20s. We haven't even touched on the fact that natural ones and the fact that I don't know if there's anywhere that says they're a critical failure. You know, it's not like you roll a natural one and you drop your weapon. Like, that's pretty goofy, right? Why are you mid-combat and you just go, whoopsies, right? Like, accidents happen, slapstick, haha. But at the end of the day, you're a leveled, trained fighter, warrior, whatever you want to classify. Adventure, I guess, would be the easier category to put yourself in. And this natural one brings you down to, like, just a stooge, I guess. It feels bad, in my opinion. You know, it kind of, like, makes your character feel less than what they are.
And I got to call myself out. Because I know the first campaign I ever ran, I always thought the idea was fun to, like, have something happen.
Yeah.
And I don't do it anymore. It feels bad to punish people for natural ones.
There's moments, you know, like,
and that's the hard part too, because like, where do you make that assertion from? Like, okay, you shot an arrow and you accidentally shot your buddy in the thigh.
Yeah.
You know, and I think most time I had limited damage, and it was pretty negotiable. But if that guy goes down now because he had that 2 or 3 or 4 extra HP, what did you do?
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, you know, and maybe it could be something where you're able to just narratively explain what happens. Something funny, like your sword got stuck in a tree, or the wood around you, the pillar around you, and you know, you'll be able to get it out by next turn. But I'm just setting that visual, like, yeah, that's your natural one attack you missed.
Yeah.
But you don't inhibit the player's success.
No.
Unless you're going to naturally give them natural 20s all the time.
Yeah, no.
You know, you better have the ebbs and flows, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to call out one of the games I play in. Their homebrew rule is that natural ones, if you roll it during combat, whoever you're attacking gets an opportunity attack.
I've seen that before.
I'll be honest, never been a fan of it. Like,
Yeah.
it feels so annoying. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yes, it does burn out reactions. So, like, maybe you could prompt a reaction out of somebody, and then you get a free escape, whatever need be. But at the end of the day, like, it just, I don't know, your character's already at a low, and then they're just like, haha, now you get stabbed.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're naturally pulling reactions you'd never see.
Yeah.
So the potential damage output from a defense just grows because of it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's ever happened yet, but, like, what if you went down because of the natural one you rolled? And, like, that's completely, like, I get it. The dice rolls tell the story. That one's, like, forcing the story in a way. Like, it just is too much.
I agree.
So, not a fan of this rule. I'd probably put it, like, somewhere between D and F tier.
I'd put it F.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
I just don't like the idea of punishing people for bad rolls.
Yeah.
You can't help it. So many times in Commander's Log and the campaign that we play together, just during the brackets fights, I mean, I didn't roll a lot of natural ones, but I rolled very poorly.
Yeah.
And so if I were to add, like, a punishment of my natural ones in those moments, I would have jumped off the ship. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is terrible.
Yeah, I think I rolled 7 natural ones in a game, you know?
Yeah, that one time, you tried to set a world record.
And I think the funniest part is, like, rolling that as a DM, like, you just keep punishing yourself? I don't know. Like, I don't think it pushes a narrative by any means. Or the right narrative for the story, I guess, is the biggest thing, is it doesn't push the right narrative for that story. It's just like a DM to a player just saying, you suck.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, yeah, F tier. Let's go with that.
Speaking of other things that I'm not really the biggest fan of, components. That's not necessarily true. But,
you know, I'm torn on this one because...
it's tough.
Yeah.
Components for spellcasting. A good homebrew rule that's out there is, you know, you don't have to track it unless it has a spell component or a price to it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you'd have to go out and search for it.
Yeah.
This is typically the rule we use.
Yes. The hardest part is, I guess the only reason that I think the spell components add anything is, like, sometimes they're just clever or sometimes they're just funny. Right? You know, if you read the actual components of most spells, you can kind of piece together why that spell has those components. And as we've seen before, you know, in popular media, Critical Role, Caleb Widogast did an incredible job of making every spell component part of his casting of the spells. If that's the wizard or whatever spellcaster that you want to play, awesome. I don't think it needs to be a necessity. Because it'd be, in semblance, like if you had to dictate the specific maneuvers your wand does before you cast the spell or whatever, you know, I think that's a little goofy. So I don't think spell components needing to be tracked is necessary unless it has a monetary value, you know. By all means, they need a 1,000 piece gem encrusted bowl to cast Hero's Feast.
Yes.
Because otherwise Hero's Feast is just awesome.
Yeah, and you know, it gives you the, when you play that rule, at least, like, you have to go out and search for certain items at least to be able to cast certain spells.
Yeah.
You don't have to, and you know, sometimes it comes down to a sake of ease. You only have so much time to play with. So if we're gonna sit here and role play, you trying to go to every shop to buy bat poop and feathers and a copper rod.
Yeah,
like
gum Arabic.
trying to piece that together kind of just takes up a little bit of time, and it's an ebb and flows. What are you winning? What are you gaining? I mean, I put this, to me, it's like kind of in the middle. It's a BC era. Like, I put it at B just because I think it simplifies the game in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'd put it as a B.
Yeah, I definitely put the neediness spell components as a B tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Otherwise, the one that we both really like on the flip side of this is death throws during death throws. And what I mean by that is while your character is rolling death saves, while you have gone unconscious, you're, technically unconscious, but at the same time, you're not dead yet, right? So we kind of like to think of it as like your last stand.
Yep.
Especially if you fail those death saves, it's almost common courtesy just to ask that character, like, what are your final moments? Like put a bookend on that character right then and there. And not having them be able to do absolutely anything during those death saving throws, and then they have that final moment, feels not quite natural. But if they're able to do certain things during that.
We've toyed with that idea a lot.
Yeah. And it can range from very simple to very advanced. Perhaps if they take an action during their death saves, it's automatically a death fail. You're expending that energy. You're worsening the bleeding wound. I know we've talked about where during your death saves, you can move up to half your movement speed during that turn. That way you can basically just be scooting out of combat, maybe towards an ally. Again, kind of like Last Stand, Call of Duty kind of moment where you're down and you can scoot just a little bit. You go to your sidearm kind of thing. You're not completely useless in the fight. You're still there by all means. And I think it's kind of cool too, because this rule could really draw the ire of your enemies. If they just put you down and you're still causing problems, man, the bad guy that knows or that's trying to put you down is going to finish the job.
But it also makes your character so important.
Yeah.
Just because you have fallen unconscious doesn't mean now all you do is just, when your turn in combat comes up, you just roll a d20 and hope for the best. Mm-hmm. Now it still means you have a turn. Yeah. It still means you can do something, potentially get the safety. And even if you kind of toyed with the idea of like, okay, well maybe only the first 3 rounds you're able to do something, and and after that, like you can maybe say like 5 words, like find ways to like slowly make it worse if you're going further down the rounds of rolling, but it still makes your character viable, because kind of it feels funky if you go 5 rounds and you get maybe on the 5th round you roll natural 20, so you're back to 1 HP, and then all of a sudden for 5 rounds you didn't say anything, and then like you come back up and now you're just like back.
Yeah.
At least it bridges that gap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're really gonna have to like actually sit down and like kind of toy with it. And you probably have to test it out to kind of see the balance, and maybe party size makes a big difference too. And on something like that, kind of helps the ebbs and flows of that. But I think it's a really cool concept and a cool idea that would really help. Just keep the flow, and like you don't feel like you're just outed because you went down.
Yeah, truthfully, I think this is one of those where the addition of this rule to where you have something to do during your death saves, it's not gonna hurt anybody. Correct. Like it's only gonna make the game a little bit richer. Yeah. So I truly put this as probably an A tier, just because it's not fully flushed.
Yeah, I'd go A too. There's just potentially B, but just getting flushed out.
Yeah.
And, making it a little bit better.
Absolutely.
There's always the rule cool.
Everybody's favorite homebrew rule, probably the most known one.
Yeah, and I don't think most people probably would call it homebrew, but it is. I mean, theoretically speaking, it's real cool. You're just choosing at that moment to not go by the rules because something is like, okay, that is sweet.
Exactly. The worst part about Rule of Cool to me is it pushes the boundaries. It takes dice out of the equation for one. You just say, hand wave it, right? Sometimes the story tells for that, right? Like sometimes that is needed, and I think Rule of Cool is one of those where a little bit goes a long way. When you can reward the players for something absolutely great that they did. Yes. Yeah, sure, the Rule of Cool can apply. But just willy-nilly, flippantly using it, now we're not playing a game with dice as the mechanic. you know, you've removed them from the situation just because you say, you rolled a 4, but whatever, you're fine.
You're removing the opportunity for success or failure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing is you're pulling out the failure of the game, which is, you know, just like you said, it ebbs and flows. It has its highs. It has its lows. You're never going to have those highs if you don't have the lows. So
I will go on record saying I don't enjoy roll cool.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's a slippery slope. Because if you do it once, I feel like you're more bound to like start letting more things slide just naturally, even if you start small, and then pretty soon it just grows a little bit, and then you're like, well, I let him do this, so now I need to let her do this. Oh, well, now I gotta let also him do this. So where do you find the cutoff?
I would say that's probably the biggest thing right there is finding the consistency alongside the fairness of the game.
Yeah.
Because then you have to remember what you rule a cooled, and it'll change game to game because you're probably playing week to week at best, maybe something like that, you know? So what you ruled last week might not stand this week, and then your players are going to go, what the heck, we just got away with that, you know? So,
yeah. And then, you know, most of the time, in my eyes, rule of cool typically gleams off of role play.
Yeah.
How you either describe something or how it either fits in the situation. Well, if you get somebody that's not necessarily the best at role playing and they love to play D&D, but they're not, you know, in their act, they're not an actor in there, and you know they don't ever quite fit that mold for your rule of cool. Well, now they're just kind of punished for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, they don't get that benefit.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go ahead and F.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
I was sitting
Don't
more
let me sway
around
you, sir.
C tier.
By all means.
C to D, simply because like I think it has its place, but it's a slippery slope. So it's a hard one. I don't even know. Like maybe,
I know it's tough.
Yeah, this one's a really hard one to truly hammer down.
It's to me, it's always been like if you are playing a game and you're playing a system, you're playing for a reason.
Yeah.
And hey, a lot of people have worked on this book and put these rules in place to help balance the game.
Yeah, the game is absolutely balanced for a reason.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
So it gets tough.
Yeah.
If you take away the position for a PC to succeed or fail just because it sounds cool.
That toes on...
What storyline are you really writing?
Yeah, that is the DM equivalent of the player saying that's what my character would do.
That's a good... Wow.
You know, like...
You just made a very good connection there.
Yeah, I'm going to put this at D tier because it has its place, but you didn't sway me all the way. Because I'll be honest, like I'll still pull out Rule of Cool. I'll be like, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Like that was sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not saying I won't ever use it. You know, I don't ever use it, but it's very slim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
You know what else is slim? This one's an interesting one. Death saves reset after a long rest. Very interesting. That could be tough.
Yeah, I was sitting here just like all the ramifications of that. Like the amount of times that you reach 0 and it's a sigh of relief, you know? But so say, I guess easiest way is like if we broke this down, you go down and you start rolling death saves. You roll 1 and 1, right? And then you roll only saves the rest of the time. That one death fail you have doesn't go away until you long rest. So if you go right back down again, probably pretty likely because your cleric just put a level 1 spell into you, you're probably going to go right back down.
You're back to 0 and 1.
And it almost makes sense that, like...
It is. It's a very good rule, actually.
Yeah, it's really good, but man, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Like,
You would have to be... It definitely needs to be a campaign where, like, okay, we're not buying minis, and we're here to...
True.
To reap some benefits of making characters.
I think this rule fits into the same game that the rule, we talked about it last week, the rule of, oh no, it's out of my head. Forget I said anything.
Okay.
It'll come back to me.
Come back to you in a
second. Yeah, I would say it'll come back to me in the worst part.
It is a grungy rule, and it could make it very difficult.
That's exactly what it is.
Grungy.
This fits into the game where long rests only happen at certain places. That's this rule. That's the same game.
Ooh, dang.
You know, where it's like, those people are probably tracking encumbrance. They're probably worried about spell encumbrance or spell components.
Yeah.
It's...
That'd be a fun game.
Yeah. Oh, no. That just, like, yeah, that really did just hit me where it's like your long rest only can happen in certain spots.
Yeah.
So, like, after the battle, you might not reset. That's pretty hardcore. Like, that is a very hardcore game. It'd be really fun to play, honestly.
Yeah, strategy would be very, very important.
Yeah. We might have to do that sometime.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a game I'd love to DM, I think. Let me think here. I need a ranking for this one. I'm gonna call it B tier. You know, you're happy to get it, but you're not like, you don't want to put it on your fridge.
I would also say, yeah, it's B,
Yeah.
just because it's a very cool rule, but everybody has to buy into something like that.
Yep.
Like, it is 101% agreement upon the table.
Yeah, if that player invested way too much into their character and that character
Yeah.
dies, they're probably going to lose interest in the game.
Yeah.
But if everybody goes into that game knowing, hey, death is a very real risk. Like, this is a gritty game with gritty consequences, we might lose you.
Yeah. That sounds a lot like calling your shots.
Ooh, yeah. That one's a tough one because everybody wants to do it. You know, everybody wants to shoot that arrow right into their eye.
Yeah.
Or cut off their hand before they can hit you. But unfortunately, it's kind of, you're pushing the mechanics of the game, right? It's all about, when you're in combat, it's truly just about action economy, and you're cutting into the action economy of something that's established. It's
interesting.
If you shoot somebody in the eye, they're blinded, right? Probably out of at least a bare minimum of one eye, but also you shoot somebody in the eye and they're down for the count, like completely gone.
Yeah.
That's simply how it be. If you cut off somebody's hand, they don't have a sword hand, so what are they going to do? Just hit you with a stump? What is that like Baelnor going to do? Like, it's really hard, but what we have done, and what I've also seen done, is, maybe we haven't done it at our table, maybe it's a home table, where if you call a shot, it gives you disadvantage on the attack.
We have done that.
But there is a special effect that happens because of it. Maybe the monster's not blinded because you shot them in the arrow, or shot them in the eye with the arrow. Maybe they're not blinded permanently. Maybe they just have disadvantage on all attack rolls until the start of your next turn. So it gives you kind of a spell effect for something that could be as mundane as a melee weapon, which could really help tip the scales, not tip the scales, but more balance the scales between sword and boards and spells.
Yeah, I mean, it is a tough one, because to me that also falls into the rule of cool a little bit there, like, because you start to flirt with, if one guy has a really good addition to his attacks, because he's say a stat monkey, and you know he's maxed out, well, and he can always hit this, so he's getting like these cool things all the time. And somebody else is like a little bit more even bore, and they try and they can't, you know, or because I've always struggled with cutting limbs off.
Yeah.
You know, like, to me, you have to meet a certain threshold of HP in order to even make that accessible. You know, so a guy that's got a sword versus a ranger who's shooting an arrow, what they have at their disposal right away could be tough. So there's a lot of factors. I think it makes the game more fun, because why would you not want to call your shot?
Absolutely.
You're facing an enemy, you go, yeah, I'm definitely going to aim for this eye that is shooting a laser at me. What is this guy, Cyclops?
Yeah.
Like, let's get this, you know. Makes perfect sense. How you balance that out can be kind of tough, I think.
It's very hard to implement.
Yeah.
Without some established backing behind those called shots. Like, if you do this, then this happens.
Yeah.
Because if there's no consistency, then that truly does just fall into the rule of cool. Like,
Yeah, because it only works also for certain players.
yeah,
That's the other thing too,
it does.
to a certain aspect. So it does get a little tough. I mean, to me, it is B tier. It is. It makes perfect sense. Why would it not be allowed? But I think the rules have to be established very clearly. Also, so whatever works for your table, so they don't get abused.
Yeah.
You know, like to where it's like that ranger isn't always just making called shots and succeeding all the time and getting way more for their class than anybody else is.
Yeah.
You know.
I'd probably go so far as to put this probably closer to like C tier, even
And I
like
can see
lower
it.
C's, like a C minus. Just because there's a lot that comes with it.
Yeah.
It's loaded. You know, that is, it's like if you give a mouse a cookie on this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
It can get away from you and it can cause a lot of problems. So
And combat's already long a lot of times.
oh goodness, no kidding.
So now if you got somebody that's like does have multiple attacks and they're specifically calling out and taking more time,
yeah.
could lengthen combat quite a bit in reality.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you know, rounds take 10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes. Pretty soon combat's 2 hours, 3 hours, and
Yeah.
with the full table. So
No kidding. So maybe not. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just right in the
it is a
middle
tough
ground.
one for us.
Yeah.
What else you got?
One I do like and kind of helps with the immersion of the game is if you hide your perception rolls. Like if you make the characters roll for it behind a screen or whatever, so the player doesn't know what they rolled. That really leads to what you can feed the players. Because everybody's rolled that perception check and they got the natural one, and the DM said, yep, there's no traps. And then you act as if there's traps. You're like, well, my character would have checked for traps anyways. No, you're metagaming at that point.
Yeah, and it does get hard.
Yeah.
I'm always torn on the DM rolling for players.
I don't like that.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it takes away, like, you're the play. That's your character. You're the player. You should be able to have the opportunity to roll for your guy. You know, so it is kind of tough for me, but I totally get it. It has a purpose, and this is definitely one of those more niche rules to me. Like you're only using it in very select times, and it makes
Yeah.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's a B tier one for me. It's kind of a quick and easy one.
Yeah, it's really easy to implement, and I don't think it would have a lot of repercussions.
Yeah.
I'd probably say A tier.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, it's you know, yeah, it's just a niche thing that you use when it's only necessary
Yeah,
to not slow down the game or what have you.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is it doesn't hinder the game. That's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. And that's the most important part.
Yeah. No hiccups. It just helps with the immersion of you staying in character. Because it's honestly sometimes really hard not to metagame. Like, it's so hard to make that bad decision.
Well, especially when you get those perception checks and trap checks. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does get very tough.
Yeah. When your character's on the line, that's whenever you're like, oh, my heartstrings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
You know what else could be on the line?
lots.
Yeah, when you're in combat and you want to change from a bow to a sword.
Oh, yeah.
Is that free? Well, this homebrew rule says it is.
Yeah.
During your turn, you can just swap weapons whenever you want. It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
I think we've played it where it's a bonus action to switch, and they have to be kind of readily available. Being a free action, I think we've even done it as a free action when it's, you know, you are maybe dropping something and pulling out a sheath dagger or something quickly and accessible.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. Do I think it hurts the game at all? No. How many times does this probably ever come up? Probably pretty slim in the grand scheme of things. So,
Yeah, it can. I think the hardest part is sometimes you know when a character's done too much on their turn.
yeah.
And you're like, all right, let's take a step into reality. This is a 6-second turn, and your character has 3 attacks. You just changed 3 different weapons. You loaded a bow, you loaded a crossbow, and then you hit somebody with a short sword. you're doing a lot in
Yeah.
6 seconds, and I think we
Well.
all know that might not really be the most accurate.
That's a great example of it being broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets really hard to implement this rule because the character with 1 attack that changes weapons, sure, that makes total sense. You know, you changed right after you attacked or right before you attacked. But the character with 3 weapons that's like, whip, greatsword, crossbow, that guy gets an advantage that the other ones don't. Which, I mean, yes, that is class dependent. It's kind of the name of the game. Everybody's class is different. I don't think this one really, I don't know. I think the biggest thing for me is regardless of which spectrum you fall for the changing weapons, stay consistent.
And I think you can set the guidelines to say, hey, you get to change weapons. You get to do it 1 time.
Yeah.
And like, once you change it, you can't go change it again. You know. And I even think you could amend it even furthermore and saying, if you had a sword at the start of your turn for a free action, you could pull an arrow, a bow. Excuse me. You pull a bow and you can spend your both attacks now with that bow. Like, I think there could easily be some amendments here that would make it take away from the dangers of what you were proposing, and would help really clarify. And I think those are great amendments, to make that much more successful at the table.
I think easily the thing that pulls me away from this, away from allowing you to just change weapons willy-nilly, is like, where are those weapons going?
Yeah, true.
You're like, did you really sheath a greatsword or sling it back upon your back in those 6 seconds? Or did you plop it back into did you just drop it? Does that mean the other characters can come and pick it up? Like, is the enemy going to be like, oh, free greatsword?
No, that's great.
I don't know. I don't really like this rule. I think my favorite version of this rule is a bonus action to change. That gives you that 1 opportunity.
And I think, a lot of times bonus actions aren't used anyways, and it kind of gives you a little purpose for it, makes you be a little more thoughtful in your action economy.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I don't even know where to rule this because it's a broad rule.
Yeah.
I don't like it wholeheartedly, but I like some aspects of it. I think this is a rule you probably have to have at your table. That's the worst part.
Yeah, because to me, it's in that middle range of C to B. You got to find the balance, and you have to make some amendments there to it to balance it to your table's needs.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's an absolutely necessary rule in some semblance. Changing your weapons willy-nilly, F tier.
Yeah.
Changing your weapons once per turn, I'd probably put that at A tier. I think that one makes a lot of sense to me. It just physically makes sense for that to be the rule. So I'd say A.
Well, guys, I think that kind of wraps up our part 2 of our homebrew rules. So that kind of...
the funny part is the list could go on.
Yeah, golly. We'd probably post an Excel sheet, and Excel would tire out before we got to the bottom of homebrew rules. So if you have any cool, exciting homebrew rules that you like and you've used at your table, please comment below. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah.
We'd love to know them.
Absolutely.
We would love to try them.
Yeah, no kidding. Always looking for any kind of suggestion or just conversation down in the comments. We're lonely.
Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're looking for a new podcast to listen to, we've got one just for you.
Every Saturday.
Well, our podcast comes out on Wednesdays, but this comes out on Saturdays.
Oh my goodness. Can we delete that?
Yeah, scrub that. But no, our podcast comes out on Wednesdays called Commander's Log, where Logan is a Dungeon Master and I'm the player. So if you're interested in a little one-on-one D&D, check us out over there.
Yeah. You ever seen that one-on-one D&D? Wow.
But until then, you could catch us next Saturday again.
Next Saturday for sure.
See you guys.